Saint John Bosco's diplomatic genius teaches us how to navigate our modern educational bureaucracy. Let me tell you how. The Miracles and Prophecies of Saint John Bosco, a project of America Needs Pharma. I'm your host, Adrian Fonseca. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today we're exploring an episode from Don Bosco's life that showcases his resourcefulness, perseverance, and trust in divine providence when faced with a clever adversary. Before we begin, here are some themes to think about during the story. The power of diplomacy and fairness and overcoming prejudice. The importance of maintaining high educational standards, and how trust in divine providence can open unexpected doors. And a question for you. How might Don Bosco's approach to overcoming educational obstacles inspire us to address similar challenges in our modern Catholic schools and homeschooling communities? And if you're inspired by Don Bosco's unwavering commitment to his faith and his flock, consider becoming a monthly donor to support the continuation of his work. The details are in the description box down below, but now let's dive into our story. Many people do not realize that Saint John Bosco and his oratory instructors had to satisfy government regulations in the same way that Catholic and private schools in America must do today. Here's a little story of Saint John Bosco showing how he won the day by using diplomacy and always being open to a providential opportunity. Time was drawing near for the examinations for teacher certification. The educators at the oratory were cramming for them with intensity. Their names were Father Michael Rua, Father Bartholomew Fusero, and Father Dominic Rufino, and the cleric John Bonetti and Hyacinth Bolesio. They had also readied all necessary certificates, particularly the one testifying to the excellent result of their philosophy exams at the Turin Seminary, which for several years had been accepted as equivalent to a comprehensive college examination. However, the university rector, Hercules Ricotti, was still prejudiced against Don Bosco's work. Perhaps he and a few others regretted having dispensed 4 of Don Bosco's prospective teachers from the comprehensive college examination the previous July. These 4 earned brilliant results in their university exams, therefore leaving Ricotti looking foolish. Whatever the reasons, he rejected the certificates provided by the oratory and refused to admit the candidates to exams. This unexpected refusal dashed all hopes of having certified teachers for the oratory and the new school at Mirabello. Time was running out, and complying with Ricotti's demand was impossible. Only prayer could remove the impasse. And it did. Some days after Ricotti's refusal to admit the oratory candidate to exams, Don Bosco learned that he had left for his vacation and that the senior dean, Angelo Serafino, a professor of speculative theology, had taken over for the duration. Seizing this opportunity, Don Bosco made new attempt and presented the same certificates to Serafino. And level-headed and fair-minded, the dean examined the oratory students' certificates and found them acceptable. He even remarked, "I know that studies are taken more seriously at the seminary than in the state college." The examinations took place between September 15th and the 20th. Of the oratory candidates, some scored very high, while others did quite well. This was a second triumph for the oratory. But Don Bosco realized that seminary philosophy examinations would no longer be accepted in place of comprehensive college examination. He decided that from then on, his pupils would have to take the latter test, anticipating other difficulties set up by his adversary's antagonism. Don Bosco called on Niconide Benanchi, principal of Liceo del Carmine, in 1848, after the First Italian War of Independence under King Charles Albert of Sardinia. This renowned secondary school was the first educational institution in the kingdom to come under direct control of the state. By calling on its principal, Don Bosco was hoping to soften his hostility. As soon as he mentioned that he had come to recommend 3 of his pupils, the professor made a show of impartiality. At this, Don Bosco replied that all he sought was the protection of the law for his students, because he knew that some examiners were prejudiced against them. He hoped that the principal's well-known fairness would dispel the examiner's prejudices. He likewise offered to give all the information considered necessary about the oratory curriculum and his teacher's qualifications. He concluded by saying that he neither needed nor sought favors because he felt sure that his students could very well hold their own without them. "If that's how things stand," the Nachi replied, "you have nothing to worry about. Encourage your boys and I assure you of fair treatment." The conversation went on for a while as he affably inquired about the oratory. When Don Bosco eventually took his leave, the principal again renewed his promises. However, Don Bosco had misgivings. Indeed, when one of his boys submitted a Latin paper, it was rejected. When the board asked why, and the reply was that anything so good must surely have been copied, Don Bosco denied the allegations and saw to it that he was admitted to an oral examination. At this session, he was again taken to task for his paper as if he had really did cheat. He demonstrated against this injustice. At his insistent request, the examiners finally decided that he should rewrite the paper in that very room. Immediately, he went to work treating the same themes from a new angle and bringing in additional proof so that the second paper was even better than the first. In astonishment, the examiners had to give him the highest grade possible. His other students also had very difficult examinations, but they too did well. A little later, the same 3 young men scored brilliantly on their entrance exams to the literature courses. These facts proved to the fair-minded that classical studies were held in great esteem at the oratory. We will close today's video by showing how earnestly studies were pursued at the oratory. In the following years, other oratory pupils took comprehensive college examinations and won the examiner's admiration. Moreover, though at that time a secondary school diploma was not required, Don Bosco began sending his best pupils to state schools for their exams. They also scored splendidly. Professor Charles Bacchialoni, a principal of St. Francis of Paula Secondary School, testified to this. And later on, when the examination became mandatory for admission to secondary schools, 30 or more oratory students reported each year to government examiners and often scored higher than all other public and private school pupils in Turin. Professor Parito, a principal of Monveso Secondary School, was very enthusiastic about the oratory students, who were mostly examined by his own committee of professors. Besides being carefully prepared in all subjects, many oratory boys, encouraged by their teachers with book awards, had memorized prose and poetry, selections from the classics, and when discussing such exams, the professor repeatedly declared to Father Durando that it was impossible to express the great benefit the oratory boys had provided to the public school students through the example that they had set. He added that the oratory boys had always excelled above the others. All of this is glowing praise indeed and indicates the importance our saint placed on classical education and how well his curriculum served his students. Another important takeaway from this story is how Don Bosco was always thinking on his feet, so to speak. And when his adversary happened to leave on vacation, Don Bosco seized the opportunity to get the permission he needed from his replacement by dealing with someone who was a little bit more reasonable. Never accepting defeat and turning to prayer, they were practices that aided him in achieving his ultimate goal, which was the salvation of souls. So let us emulate these practices in the 21st century to win as many souls for Our Lady as we can. Because really, at the end, does anything else matter? As we've seen, Don Bosco's resourcefulness and trust in divine providence helped him to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Today, we face our own challenges in education and in the formation of young souls. Will you join us in continuing Don Bosco's mission to educate and form young souls by becoming a monthly promoter of the miracles and prophecies of Saint John Bosco? As a monthly promoter of the miracles and prophecies of Saint John Bosco, you'll receive spiritual benefits, including Mass remembrances and daily rosary intentions. Your generosity not only supports our mission, but also connects you more deeply to the work of Saint John Bosco. Depending on your level of support, you may receive beautiful religious items that serve as tangible reminders of Don Bosco's enduring legacy. One offering that I'm particularly excited about is a set of 2 books, Sacred History and Roadmap to Heaven, both authored by Don Bosco himself. These books embody Don Bosco's gift for speaking to hearts of all ages. They are the perfect length for young readers, yet contain wisdom that even a bishop would be impressed. Your monthly gift, no matter the amount, makes a real difference. It helps us to shape future generations with Don Bosco's values and wisdom, continuing his work of nurturing young souls through education, faith, and joy. The link to become a monthly promoter is in the description box down below, so join us in this vital mission and be a part of Don Bosco's lasting impact on the world. Today, we've witnessed Don Bosco's remarkable ability to navigate complex educational challenges with grace, diplomacy, and unwavering trust in divine providence. His story teaches us valuable lessons about persistent fairness and the pursuit of excellence in education. The key takeaway from this episode, in my mind, is this. By combining prayer, diplomacy, and a commitment to high standards, we can overcome even the most daunting obstacles in our mission to educate and form young souls. Don Bosco's example shows us that with faith and resourcefulness, we can turn setbacks into opportunities for growth and success. As we face our own challenges in the 21st century, let's draw inspiration from Don Bosco's approach. Whether we're involved in Catholic education, homeschooling, or simply striving to pass on the faith to the next generation, we can apply his principles of persistence, fairness, and trust in divine providence. But what did you think about today's episode? Has it inspired you to approach challenges in your own life or educational endeavors? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are, and I'm sure others will as well. Thank you for joining me today, Saint John Bosco. Pray for us. May God bless you, and Mary Immaculate keep you under her mantle. God love you.